Okay, Dyno session analysis. I'm gonna try and keep this short and sweet. I'm gonna just spit out the information. All of these calculations are based on fuel injector duty cycle, so anyone else can go and calculate this and double check this stuff. But basically, where we were at, we were running 75% duty cycle on the injectors, and that equates to 205 horsepower at the crank. So if you apply 205 at the crank versus the actual output at the wheels, which was 117, we get a 43% drivetrain loss with the 33 by 12 half swampers. So the crankshaft output of the turbo engine I built was 205 horsepower and 268 pounds of torque at 5 psi. And so comparing that to a factory 22R, which is 113 and 135, we have a differential of 92 horsepower and 133 pounds of torque. So that means the turbo kit that I put together and the computer system that was operating it, it's getting a 92 horsepower and 133 pound torque gain from 5 psi. Compared to a factory turbo 22R is 7 psi for 135 and 173, which is a differential of 70 and 95. And then comparing the same stuff to a brand new Ecodiesel 240 and 420, those are running 26 psi, so they're definitely more power, 40 horsepower and 152, but it's a 3 liter versus a 2.4. If you scale the displacement down, that engine is actually 192 and 336, so still more torque, but that's 26 psi versus the one that I'm built is 5. So we'll get to that in a second. And then versus a Cummins 6.7, same thing, factory power output 370, 850 at 28 psi, massive amount of power more, but it's a 6.7 versus a 2.4. If you scale the displacement, that one is 129 and 297. So actually, that diesel V6 is really much better if you probably turned up the boost on that. But neither of them is really that good compared to the one that I put together, because if you step up from 5 psi to 10, it's going to be 297 and 401. And then at 15, it'll be approximately 389 and 534. And I'm pretty sure that we'd have to do some modifications to support that much power. It would need forged rods and pistons to do like 10 and up, and all like head bolts and all that kind of stuff. But basically though, right there at 15 psi, 389 and 534 versus anything else on this chart, it's just crushing it. I mean, if you actually turned it all the way up to 30, the turbo, its ideal pressure ratio, it's like 35 psi is ideal operating and it's supposed to do 650 horsepower. So this is all scaling pretty close to ideal operating efficiency of the turbo, and this is with a 35-year-old 4-cylinder and a turbo kit that I put together with a computer system and a badass tune by Chase. And shout out to Rywire and LC for getting me those injectors. But yeah, overall, this thing is absolutely incredible. 30-something-year-old engine, and it's putting out more efficient, better power than the brand, most high-tech diesel, everything that they've got on the market. So yeah, if you want a 22R swap your Cummins, let me know.